Hello everyone and welcome back to the High Council. Today we're looking at the latest databank download for Star Wars Shatterpoint, which is looking at Logray, the Bright Tree Shaman and the Ewok Trappers that are soon to be released for Star Wars Shatterpoint. So we can see them here, we've got Logray there and then some of the Ewoks behind him. Very cool, really looking forward to getting these up and painted. I think there are going to be some great paint schemes on these. And the amount of variations that you can see are going to be huge. It's going to be really cool. I don't think you're going to see many similar looking Ewoks on the table. But let's get straight into it. I've had a quick read through. I think Logray is going to be bonkers. And I'm really excited about him. So either if you've had a read through or you get to the end, let me know your thoughts down below. I think Logray alongside some of the other Ewoks. We looked at Leia and Paploo in the last video. If you haven't seen that, do check that one out as well. But no, Logray for me, alongside those two, particularly alongside Leia, the Freedom Fighter, is going to be awesome stuff. So the time has come to preview some of the shortest but greatest heroes of the Battle of Endor, taking a closer look at Logray, the Bright Tree Shaman, and the cunningly fierce Ewok Trappers of his tribe. So we get a little bit of fluff here. You can have a read through. But we've come to have a look at the card, so let's get straight into it. So, Logray, the Bright Tree Shaman, is an 8 squad points character, bringing 3 force with him. So we saw in the last video that we had Leia with, which wasn't the same normal theme that we've seen, where less squad points is giving you more force. Logray is back to the norm of 8 squad points, bringing you 3 force, and he is got the Endor, Ewok and Shaman tags with a stamina of 9, a durability of 2. And he's got lots of different abilities here. So we've got 1 tactics, 2 active, a reactive and an identity ability as well. So let's start off with this tactics ability. At the start of this unit's activation, each allied Ewok warrior unit gains a hunker token and may remove 2 damage or 1 condition from itself. Then each allied Ewok scout character may dash. So in itself, nothing too crazy. We've got Ewok warriors, Ewok scouts that we know we've got on other tags. The really great thing about this is when you combine them with someone like Leia, the Freedom Fighter. So again, check out her video if you haven't seen it. But Leia gives all of the Ewoks the Rebel Alliance tag and all the Rebel Alliance characters the Ewok tag. So all of a sudden you combine those two together and your entire, maybe your entire army, everything we've seen so far, if you took Leia and Logray together, everything that we've seen would have the Ewok and a warrior and the Ewok and the tag, the scout tag. So very, very cool. Great way to keep your characters safe or healed up, taking off those last bits of damage, particularly if you've got a character that's like 1 or 2 damage away from going down. You're playing against someone who's got some ability just to do like 1 damage straight off the bat. So a great way to kind of keep them safe, and probably something, you know, if you activate Logray with his order card and then with a Shatterpoint card, you're potentially then doing 4 damage or healing 4 damage off all your Ewok characters, Ewok warrior characters even. But that's not the best part about him. So we've then got Elder's Command, which is an active ability costing 1 force. She's an allied Ewok supporting character within range 4. The chosen character may dash, they may then gain a hunker token, remove 1 condition from itself, or make a 5 dice attack. So we've seen the ability before. We've seen it on droids, where you can do the exact same thing. But yeah, very cool just to get some additional movement out there, an additional attack, anything like that. We've then got Stealthy Approach, again costing 1 force. We've seen this ability on Paploo, so each character in this unit may dash, then this unit may gain a hunker token, or immediately make a focus action. But this is the other thing you're wanting Logray for. So the reactive ability, innate. Protective Wards. While this unit is not wounded, characters in other allied Ewok units within range 4 add 1 die to their defense rolls. So automatic, 1 additional die in a range 4 bubble. As I said, you mix it with Leia, Freedom Fighter, and all of a sudden that's your entire army that have got the Ewok keyword, all rolling an additional 1 defense roll. Very, 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 very cool. And we've got his identity ability. So each time an allied Ewok character wounds an enemy unit, roll an attack dice. On a crit or a hit, refresh 1 force. On a fail or an expertise, each character in the attacking unit may dash. And again, I know I'm going to keep talking about Leia, but you combine Logray with Leia, and that's your entire army. That anytime they're wounding it, you're doing something with it. So what I really like about that secret ingredient spot particularly is that it's just an Ewok character, so it doesn't have to be an Ewok primary, an Ewok secondary, an Ewok supporting. It's just all Ewok characters, which are very cool. But yeah, Logray is giving out a lot of defense to his team. The only thing I haven't touched on is that his obviously durability is only 2, so it is generally 3 on most of the primary units that we've seen. But he's got a very strong defensively, and he is going to be very cool. Let's see what they say about him on here. So Logray is hyper capable support leader, well equipped to magnify the effectiveness of his Ewoks. His mere proximity serves as an inspiring presence, protecting warriors like Wicket with hunker tokens and providing relief from minor damage or detrimental conditions. He can then do things like stealthy approach on his foe, an active ability that gives him a dash and a hunker, and then Elder's command to a nearby trapper provide a dash, followed by the choice of hunkering, which we've seen there. And then, we talk about Logray. In addition to this, Logray makes all Ewoks more durable because of his protective wards and those bits there. So, let's have a look at his stance cards here. So, 2 different ones here. The first thing that jumps out at me is there's a lot of expertise stuff. A lot of very cool. How much of it you're going to get off is another question, but there are a lot of things I can see there. So, we've got these 2 here. So, Wisdom of the Woods on the left-hand side, and then Omen of Strength on the right-hand side. But let's just focus on this left-hand side. So, Wisdom of the Woods. Range 4, range attack, throwing 7 attack dice and 6 defense dice. Or a melee attack, where you're throwing 6 attack dice and 5 defense dice as well. And we've got the expertise. So, range expertise. 1 is becoming a crit, 2 to 3 is becoming a crit and a hit, and 4+ is becoming 2 crits and a hit. Or we've got his engaged expertise, so 1 to 3 is becoming a hit and an auto damage, 4+ a crit, a hit, and an auto damage, or 5+ a crit, a hit, and 2 auto damage. And then we've got the defensive wards as his defensive expertise. 1 is becoming 1 block, 2 to 3 becoming 2 blocks, and 4+ becoming 2 blocks, and then turn a crit to a fail as well. So very nice. And then if you combines with the protective wards, so the protective wards don't affect him. So his characters in other allied Ewok units. So he doesn't get the additional 1 defense, but he's got a lot of defense anyway. 5 dice against range attack. You're probably going to be keeping quite safe with that. And if we look down his combat tree here, so we've got his first one is going to be a damage and a shove, followed by a damage and a strange condition, followed by a damage and a shove. Before we get the first option, so we get one of 3 things. We can go up the top for a damage and a reposition, or we can just stick along the middle for 2 damage, or come down to the bottom for 2 heals. And then whatever choice we take there, we end up back in the middle doing an active ability. So potentially using Stealthy Approach or Elder's Command, things like that for free. So not too much damage on this side, maximum of 5. Plus potentially 1 or 2 from his expertise shot, but only 5 damage. So not a power hitter, not someone that's going to be going around going toe to toe with the likes of Darth Vader or a Dooku or a Grievous or anything like that. But I think his strength comes from a lot of other places as opposed to pure physical fighting strength, which is very true of the Ewoks in general. If you then look at his other stance cards, so Omen of Strength, exactly the same. 4 dice, range attack, 6 dice defensively, 5 dice defensively, and then 7 dice engaged and 6 dice defensively when engaged as well. And this side is definitely the I'm engaged with you side in my opinion. So expertise wise, from a range attack, 1 to 2 is becoming 1 hit, 3 is becoming a crit and a hit, and 4+ is becoming a crit and 2 hits. Nothing too huge there. But when we're engaged with you, 1 to 3 is becoming a crit and a damage. 4+ is becoming 2 crits and a damage. Or 5+ is becoming 2 crits, a hit, and a damage as well. And then if we look at its defensive wards on this side are also a little bit stronger. So it's very similar. So 1 becomes 1 block. So 2 to 3 is the only change where you get the 2 blocks and you also turn a crit to a hit. And then 4+ is the 2 blocks and turn a crit to a fail in the exact same way as his Wisdom of the Woods side. And then if we look at his combat tree, so he's starting off with 2 damage. And then we have the first choice to make where we either stay in the middle and do the pinned condition and a damage, or we come down to the bottom and hit the strained and a damage as well, before we then go back into the middle for an additional 2 damage. Then we get another choice of either going up top and hitting the exposed and a damage, or downstairs for the disarmed and a damage. And then we end up in the middle for a final action as well. So again, nothing too crazy from a damage perspective, a maximum of 6 on this side, plus maybe 1 from his expertise. But again, yeah, not a pure power hitter, but someone who is going to be throwing out conditions, heals, actions, but is more going to be there for strengthening all of his other friends and allies as well, with these protective wards, with the secret ingredients, with the Elder's Command, and with his inspiring presence as well. So they talk about Logray has access to formidable stances that afford him considerable battle flexibility. So yeah, nothing too crazy. But, of course, an elder like Logray does not engage in battle alone, and his tribe will usually be with him. Ewok Trappers are just as versed in hit-and-run tactics and complement their shaman quite well. They also prefer to make use of a stealthy approach, relying on the cover of trees, hoping to deliver damage to adversaries before they even know an ambush is sprung. So let's have a look at the Ewok Trappers here. So looking at the Ewok Trappers, they're a 4 points cost supporting unit that come with 2 models, and they have just got 1 active ability and then 3 innate abilities. So looking at this stealthy approach, or they start with, they've got the Endor, Ewok and Scout tags, a stamina of 7 and then a durability of 2 as well. Now if we look at this active ability, stealthy approach, costing 1 force, each character in this unit may dash, then this unit may gain a hunker or immediately make a focus action. And then we go on to these 3 innate abilities. So battle tactics, primitive, artifice. So when you create your starting order deck, you may include up to 1 primitive artifice battle tactics card. When you draw a battle tactics card, resolve the effects of that card, and then draw another order card and continue your turn as normal. And we'll get on to what that looks like in just a second. And we've got camouflage. At the end of the setup, this unit may gain a hunker token. And then strength in numbers. When a character in this unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, for each other allied Ewok character engaged with a target that is not wounded, add 1 die to the attack roll. So potentially, if you've got this focus action from the stealthy approach and you're keeping your Ewoks all together, there's a good chance you could roll, an additional 2 or 3 dice, just purely from that strength in numbers. But here, the question on my mind is, what is this battle tactic primitive artifice thing? So it is here. So this is a card I'm assuming is going to come with the Ewok Trappers, potentially with Ewok Warriors as well, anything like that. But we've got choose an active objective. So this is what you have to do. Choose an active objective and roll an attack dice. And then based on whatever the result is, you do something. So obviously the crit is the best one. So each enemy unit that is contesting the chosen objective gains the pinned condition. Then push each enemy character that is contesting the objective range 2 away from the objective, and each pushed character suffers 2 damage. So very, very cool. Pinned, a pushed, and 2 damage for everyone. And every enemy that's contesting an objective is very nice. We've got the hit. So each enemy character that is contesting the chosen objective suffers 2 damage. We've got the expertise. Each enemy character that's contesting the chosen objective gains the pinned condition and suffers 2 damage. And we've got each enemy character for the failure that is contesting the chosen objective just gains the pinned condition. So yeah, very, very cool. You're putting out either a push, pinned, 2 damage, anything like that across them, just for purely drawing it. And you choose one of these and stick it into your deck as well, into your order deck. So Doesn't, you know, not something you can put in reserve. Something you're probably not going to want to pull out in the first couple of turns. You're going to want it to be quite near the bottom of your order deck, so that you've got characters that you can really use that battle tactics card against to ping out some additional damage to them. So we can just see it on there as well. And then we've got onto their this one here, the stance card, Running Traps. So this is ranged for 5 dice attack or 5 dice defensively as well. Or if they are in engage, it's 6 dice to attack and only 4 dice defensively. And their expertise tree, so it doesn't look huge. So this ranged one, 1 to 2 is going to do an auto damage, and 3+ is going to be a hit and a damage as well. In melee, it's a little bit stronger, so 1 to 2 is becoming a hit and a damage. 3+ is becoming 2 hits and a damage, and 4+ we're getting a crit and a damage as well. And then we've got situational awareness as their defensive tech, so 1 to 2 expertise becomes 1 block, 3+ becomes 2 blocks as well. And if we look at their combat tree, they are starting off with 2 damage, followed by a shove, and then followed by a decision of either staying along the top for a pinned and the damage, or dropping to the bottom for another shove and a damage, followed by coming back together for 1 reposition, followed up by 2 damage as well. So again, a maximum of 5 damage off of the combat tree. Not huge, but potentially another 1 from their expertise. But they're not there for that. They're more there for being a nuisance, using this primitive artifice, adding this strength in numbers to give them more attack dice. So if obviously the Ewoks are staying together, this, you know, becomes 6 attack dice ranged or 7 attack dice ranged in melee, or 8 or 9 if they've got focus, if they've got everything else. And we've got to remember that if we combine this defensive dice with Logray's additional 1 for these protective wards, so they are getting stronger and more defensively all the time. And they've got Ewok Trappers relying their running track stance, allowing decent ranged and melee attacks. Trappers have a slight offensive edge in melee, which is what we've seen. And then that is everything. So we have a look at it over on the Asmodee website. So we've got this Logray Wicket, 3PO, R2, and the Ewok Trappers as well. Again, RRP $59.99, so you're probably picking up for 50 quid from your local game shop. Interestingly, so now we've got the, you know, we can see there's 5 order cards on here. So 4 stat cards, 4 stance cards, 5 order cards as well, which obviously we now know is the additional battle tactics, battle artifice as well. But that is everything. That is the Logray and Bright Tree Shaman, and then the Ewok Trappers preview as well. So if you're still here, thank you very much. As I said, I love the look of Logray. It looks very cool. I think Logray mixed with Leia is going to be really awesome to see, and I look forward to seeing what we get from Wicket, from R2 and 3PO, to really add into that as well. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you're still here, thank you very much for checking out the video. Do like and subscribe to the channel. It helps reach as many people as possible. And then we'll see you in the next video.